Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road, and in this video we're going to talk about fussy cutting. Before we get started, I just want to direct your attention to the article that goes with this video, and if you're interested, I'll put a link right up there. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. There's always a lot of interesting things that you can check out about paper crafting here at Sandpaper Road. So the first thing is that fussy cutting is really just detail cutting, and the most important thing is to have a good quality pair of detail scissors. I like the Tim Holtz 5-inch snips. I like that it comes with this little thing cover, and I like that it's got this little tiny serrated edge. It really helps for good detail cutting. If you're new to detail cutting, your main complaint might be that you don't have a steady hand, or maybe you have some hand problems, but I'm going to offer you some good little tips and tricks here. And for an example, I'm going to use some extras from the Kitchen Mode collection that I had on hand. This has a lot of good examples of some details, so we'll just use some of this for an example. Okay. The first thing is to start with the most detailed area first. The most detailed area. So let's just start with, let's do with these chili peppers here, okay? First, what I usually do when I'm fussy cutting is I cut out just the little image that I want to use for the time being, and then I focus on that. Now, if I'm going to do the most detailed area, I have to decide if I'm going to cut out this little center or if I'm going to do all of that. If I'm just starting out, I probably will not. I'll just focus on the most detailed area, which would be like right in here, okay? Right in here first. If I'm tempted to start with this, then when I get to this part, it's going to be all weak. The next thing is you may have heard that you want to move the paper and not the scissors, okay? That just means that instead of going around with your scissors like this, you're going to keep your scissors virtually still and move the paper like this, all right? It gives you just a little bit more control, as you can see. Next, you want to decide if you're going to leave a little tiny border around the outside of your cutting, or you're going to cut right up against the image. Now, that's up to you. I think that if you're a beginner with fussy cutting, you might want to leave just a little bit of a border. It's always easier to leave it than to not leave it, because you can always take it out later, but you can't put paper back later. So it's always a good idea to try to just leave a little bit of a border if you want. Especially if you're first starting out, it just could be a little bit easier to maintain some control. Also, you want to go slow, okay? There is no need to rush. So moving the paper, not the scissors, and maybe leaving a little bit of a border, as you can see that I'm doing right there. Now you want to keep the scissor blade on the outside of the image. Keeping the scissor blade on the outside. Now that seems obvious. I'm right-handed, so my scissor blade is going to go on the outside of the image. Instead of trying to cut here is what I mean. Like, why would I cut on this side when I could just cut on this side and go this way? Just go this way. Now sometimes you don't have a choice depending on the image that you're using, and you might get into like a tricky corner, and then you don't have a choice. You kind of have to just go with it. But for the most part, you should have a choice and just stay on the outside. Now that was another thing you see I just did. Instead of trying to round about like that, if I come to the edge, just snip it all the way off, okay? I know this might be like, are you seriously making a whole video on how to just cut paper? Well, somebody might appreciate it. So just cutting, seeing how I'm staying around the outside of the image. On the right side, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to go this way. Now if I was left-handed, do you see that I would go this way, left-handed, around the outside of the image, okay? Nowadays, some manufacturers offer the benefit of double-sided images. That is really, really helpful, especially when you get into like tight corners or something like that. You can just turn the image over and continue. For example, see, this is a double-sided image, so now I can continue to go this way, whereas before I would have to turn it this way and go this way or come around and deal with this. But I can just flip it and stay comfortable, you see, like that. I can just flip it and stay comfortable. So definitely check and see if what you're working with, your extras, have double-sided images. These are by Craft a Clock, and they are double-sided, and you can check those out at sandpaperroad.com. Now there are some advanced little tricks. For example, you could see how I'm just snipping off the end, right? But what you could do to avoid the trash is you can use your other hand as sort of a, I call it like a press and grab, okay? For example, watch, I'm taking this finger and I'm pressing against, and now I can hold it and throw it away in the trash. It doesn't fall all over my car or the waiting room or wherever I'm doing my fussy cutting, right? So I'll show it to you again. So let's say that I don't want this little trash piece to fall down on the ground. Right here where I get to the end of it, take my finger, press it up against, and then I can throw it out. Okay, and here's an example as I'm rounding the end of why the double-sided image. Now this is getting a little flimsy here, okay? This is why we want to start with the most detailed area first instead of last. I just wanted to finish this out to show you why. That is so flimsy, I'm most likely going to tear it, so I should have started with that first. The second thing I want to show you about this is the benefit of the double-sided image again. Now this is so flimsy, I wish I could start here, but I can't keep it on the right hand side. If I flip it over, I can. It just continues to stay comfortable. I can round it out real nice. I shorten my blade a little bit just to get around that corner. Okay, that serrated edge really helps. Again, I should have done this first, and this is why normally I don't do that, and then you do the press and grab and you've got it. Okay, you can throw it away. And there we have our little chili pepper. Now, going back to the very first point about starting with the most detailed thing first, you know, as you get more practice, you might want to cut that out. And let me show you what I do to cut out those middles. That's really cute. Actually, I'm also going to show you my little makeup bag, because this gets to be much. So I have this little trash bucket here, okay? So here's what I do with my makeup bag. I usually just start by going like this, cutting my images into just manageable chunks, okay, like this, if it can fit in my makeup bag. And I have a whole pile, like I would cut this and the whole rest of all these into just these manageable chunk pieces. And then I put a Ziploc bag for my finished pieces, you can see, and I keep that. And then I have an extra pair of the scissors, and I just keep it all together, throw it in my bag. Of course, I've got a purse that's big enough to carry my fussy cutting, right? And then just if I have to wait somewhere, you know, which I do a lot, then it's there. And then what I do is then just cut something out individually while I'm waiting. And because I don't want trash all over the place, then I put the makeup bag in my lap, cut around like this, right? And then use that press and grab technique right there. Put the trash on the outside and put the image on the inside, like that, when I get all done. And then when I get home, I can take the bag out and I've got all the trash in there, see? And then I can just dump it over the trash. That's just what I do, because I do a lot of fussy cutting and I enjoy it. Some people like to do like a needle point or whatever, and I like to do this. But let me get back to what I was saying about the detail in the middle. Okay, this is a self-healing mat, and then this is just a regular X-Acto knife. And what you could do if you want this hole out of there is you just start, let me move my fingers, and you just use your little X-Acto knife to go right around. It's hard to do without getting my head in the shot. And I'm pulling toward me. Again, if I wasn't on camera, then I would have my head a little bit lower and probably do a little bit of a better job. Okay. Oh, actually that turned out pretty good. Yeah, see? So now that I've cut the middle out, and maybe I want to do that over here too, right? Starting with the most detailed areas first and leaving, notice I'm not trying to connect, just using some straight lines, intersecting the straight lines and doing a lot more pushing than connecting. Lift it up and then use the knife to push out, and yeah, that doesn't look too bad. It doesn't have to be, I mean, I'm not going to quibble and quabble over a little bit of white space somewhere. But if you start to do it in a couple places, you're probably going to want to do it consistently for the rest. Okay, so pulling toward me again, taking my time. All right. Like so. See where I need to do a little bit more and then go back in. Yeah, like that. And then you can go through and cut out the rest. Let me move my mat. You can go through and cut out the rest of the peppers on the outside, and then it won't be quite as flimsy because you've done that inside first. You can turn it over and trim it up because of the double-sided nature of the images. You can really see that on some of these, the fussy cutting has been pretty detailed. Now, if I did not use an X-Acto knife for this. I just sat with my scissors and just went all the way through, starting in here first, going all the way around. But again, you know, those are the most, I think, important things, starting with the most detailed areas first. Right there, I used the X-Acto knife, you know, to get out there. And that looks pretty good. Then you've got a whole bag of fussy cut images that you can use later on your projects. Now, this isn't just for extras. You can use for pattern paper. Let's say you've got pattern paper that has like a butterfly in one corner, or it's got flowers in one corner. You know, certainly once you're scrapbooking or card making, you know, you've got some images from the actual paper you're using. Use this technique to cut out details and make little embellishments from the paper and from the pattern paper that you already have. Hopefully this gives you some insights on best practices for fussy cutting for your paper craft projects. Remember to hit that subscribe button and check out the link for some other videos that you might find helpful. And thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.